Hey everybody, welcome back to round 25 of Inside the Clinch. How you doing, Johnny?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to be back. I feel like I haven't been here in such a long time, but it's been a pretty stressful couple of weeks at school. Thank you to Palat for filling in. Shout out to Palat. But yeah, I'm doing good now. A little bit less work to do now. So I'm drinking some wine out of a whiskey glass. That's it tonight. But yeah, good to be back, man. How you been?
I'm good. Congrats on getting another accomplishment towards dental school. Hope finals are going well. Are they over yet, or are you still taking
No,
a few more?
so no, so I have a few more finals left. Yeah, so my year is not over yet, but I thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, I still have a few more finals to go, but I do have a little bit of a break right now, so it's good. It's good to have some rest.
Glad to have you back, man. We missed you.
Missed you guys as well.
All right, so a lot of news going down. This past weekend, you and I made a very spontaneous last minute decision to go out to the city, rent out a place, and watch the fights. Definitely an amazing, amazing idea.
Yeah, when I suggested the idea at first, I kind of thought that you didn't want to go.
Hey man, I mean, if we can just get together on a Saturday night to get only focus on the fights, not worry about all the bullshit going on, especially last couple of weeks, everything going on in the news and politics, everything, sports are the best getaway for all that bullshit. So I was glad we did that.
Yeah, so let me tell you the fans exactly what happened. So Eric and I were trying to decide on a place to watch the UFC fight. We didn't want to have a regular week. We wanted to go and do something spontaneous. So Eric suggested going to his uncle's spot, but that didn't work out because of the regulations in New York. So I was like, "Yo, Eric, why don't we just get a hotel room? Like, it's not gonna be too expensive, and like we could invite people and like we just have a good time." And it was awesome. The guy hooked us up at the hotel, gave us a nice suite, and we definitely have to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm very glad we did that, and definitely think we're going to be doing that for some of the bigger cards coming up later this year.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We have to.
So UFC 262 was a really stacked card. We were watching from the prelims all the way through the main event, stack event. Let's just read through the names. I'll start with the early prelims, work our way up to the card, and we'll kind of just share some ideas that we had.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Sure. So Christios Giago got a win over Sean Soriano. Tucker Lutz got a decision win over Kevin Aguilar. Priscilla Cochera got a win over Gina Mazzani. This was a really exciting fight. I was debating whether or not to put money on Cochera going into that fight. I just wasn't too familiar with her opponent, so I didn't want to get surprised with
Oh,
anything.
the Brazilian girl, right?
Yep. She had an adverse first round, but holy shit, round two, she started swinging and she caught Gina nicely. Gina fell, and that was all she wrote.
Really, that first round was pretty rough
Yep.
for her, but she, as you said, she did come. She did get over adversity and she got the win. I feel like it was a close fight. It was definitely a closer fight than you and I both thought it would be, and
Yep.
I'm glad it was an incredible performance.
Moving on to the regular prelim card, Andrea Lee started the night off amazingly against Antonina Shevchenko. She got a potential submission of the year contender in this fight. She had Antonina Shevchenko in a triangle armbar, in a triangle choke for almost the entirety of the second round. Very,
Yeah,
very dominant performance.
yeah. That's when you stepped out to go get our pizza, and literally it was so crazy because you stepped out to go get our pizza, and this girl is holding her in the triangle the entire round, and I'm sitting with Harmon there. One of our friends, and she's just holding her there the entire time. Like, where the hell is Eric? Like, do you recall seeing that? Like, when was
So
the
I
last time you?
walked out in between rounds, and I remember when I was coming back up, I started knocking on the door, and I just hear you and Harmon bugging out through the door, like, "Holy shit! I can't believe she just
Dude,
won." I'm like, "God damn, I need to get in there."
I don't know if like I don't remember seeing this ever, to be honest. Like, it was literally the entire rounds, like from like 4 minutes 30 seconds to the end of the round. She was holding her in that triangle, which was insane, honestly.
And it's a little bit surprising to see that it's Antonina Shevchenko. I mean, I know it's not Valentina, but you would assume that, the sister of the female GOAT would have some kind of more familiarity on the ground, at least, not necessarily win from that position, but at least get out of that adverse position and get her into a
Yeah,
better
let me
one.
ask you something. So, what the hell do you think happened between the sisters? Like, how is one so freaking good? Like, she's like one of the best athletes in MMA, period, men or woman, and the other one is just like a below average fighter, and also she's a world champion. I believe she's a kickboxing or a Muay Thai world champion. So it's kind of crazy to see two sisters and just like two totally different career paths in the UFC, right?
You want to know my idea? I think that Valentina Shevchenko is secretly in the KGB and she gets that military training down there.
You think so? So why didn't her sister do that as well then?
She probably wasn't recruited and just fell back being a regular old Shevchenko, not a KGB specialist.
Yeah, off topic. So my dad, super, super weird obsession over Valentina Shivchenko. Like he has a crush on her. It's fucking weird. And
Dude, she's awesome.
She's awesome. Yeah, but like, do you have a crush on her?
I wouldn't say I have a crush on her, but man,
My dad's like, she's so beautiful. I'm like, he's also Russian, but it's so weird.
Oh man, I mean, coming from Kyrgyzstan, I mean, she probably is one of the prettier women around there. But I mean, look, she's a great athlete. She's a great person, and I just understand why your dad is a fan.
I mean, I understand why he's a fan, but like the attractiveness part of that, I don't know if I would go that far, to be honest.
I don't know. When she starts doing the dancing, I get a little cringy. Like, I don't know if I want to watch all that.
Oh, really? You don't like that dance?
You like it?
Nah, I thought you did. I thought you did, though.
All right, man. Moving on through the rest of the card. Jordan Wright got a first round knockout against Jamie Piquet. I believe he was also an underdog going into this fight. This was a really bad knockout. We saw Jamie Piquet kind of put himself in a really bad position, and once he started to get hit, he didn't really move too much. And Jordan Wright did what he had to do to get the job done. And he was in and out of there quick.
Yeah, phenomenal knockout.
Next up was one of my more favorite fights of the night. We had Lando Vanada taking on Mike Grundy. That was another very exciting fight. Didn't win fight of the night contender, but I definitely thought it should have been in conversation. These two guys put on a show. It was a split decision win for Lando, so it could have gone either way.
I could definitely see that fight winning fight of the night for sure. But I believe that went to Edison, Barbosa, and Shane Burgos, which was a pretty good fight as well. But this fight was definitely back and forth. At the end of the fight, I honestly didn't know who won. It was that close in my eyes, but good job, Vanada. Honestly, it was a spectacular performance on his part.
Yeah, I agree. I was rooting for Lando Vanada to get his hand raised, but like you said, going to the judge's decision, it could have honestly gone either way. These two guys put on a hell of a fight.
Some people saw it go the other way, so it's honestly I mean, you can't never put it in the hands of the judges because the judges. What fight was that they gave the round 10
judging this week?
What fight was that? Was the 10-8 round that they gave?
That was Charles Olivera. They gave
Charles Olivera, right?
Yeah, Michael Chandler on two judges' scorecards got a 10-8 on that.
That was insane because Charles Olivera, I mean, like, if you read the rule books, it's very weirdly worded as to what a 10-8 round is. So it doesn't really have to be that a fighter dominates the whole round. It clearly says that, but it's like a very weird rules. If you read through it, it's very strange, honestly. So like you don't even know what a 10-8, a 10-9 round is supposed to be. So like I feel like they should get all these the scoring. They should revise it. Like it doesn't really match the UFC. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just to go slightly off topic. This is not the first time. There were a couple of bad scoring on this card. We've had over the last couple of events some pretty bad scoring on the judges' end. I think part of the reason that makes it difficult is, traveling from state to state, from country to country, each place has its own athletic commission, and the rules slightly change from each athletic commission. I think they need to start, or I don't know if it's possible, but I would like to see some sort of universal commission where it sets the rules universally. Because, for example, you go to one state and a downed opponent could be one knee on the ground. You can go to a different state and a downed opponent is, both knees and the arm down. So, like, depending where you go, the rules are different. So it changes the dynamic. Also, I think that the referees need to be trained. The judges need to be trained a lot better. The biggest issue is that MMA judges are the same as boxing judges. So, they're not very experienced with the grappling side, which, the discrepancy usually comes in the grappling points. That the judges don't give the points on the grappling the way they should.
Yeah. Let me ask you though, like, why not? Why can't we just get there's a very easy solution to this. Like, obviously everybody's going to make errors. We're all human. Like, we're not going to call everything exactly how it is. Like in other sports, NBA, NFL, the referees make mistakes, but we should get people like former fighters,
Absolutely.
people that study the sport, like people that are in the sport. Like it's such an easy solution. I just don't understand why we don't have that. It's like so weird. Like, why do we have people judging the fight that don't know what the fight is about? It's so weird. Like, and it's such an easy solution. And like, I just don't understand why it's not being changed over so many errors on the judge's part.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what exactly it takes to form a commission, to get it legally, I guess,
Yeah,
whatever.
it's the legality of it. That's what
But
it comes down to. But it's just ridiculous. Like, after so many errors, it needs to be changed.
But regardless, at the very least, you can train the judges to, what to look out for. You can take the boxing coaches on weekend, whatever it is. I'm sure they have regular seminars where they keep up with the rules. They should start taking, if they're going to be participating in MMA events, they should be learning some jiu-jitsu, some wrestling, some other grappling sport, just to, understand what they're seeing so that they can judge it appropriately on the scorecards.
Or at least learn how to score it. You don't need to like go there and physically practice jiu-jitsu, but like at least learn the rules and like learn what's a dominant position as opposed to what's like an inferior position. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this has been a big issue, and I don't know if maybe it's just me, but I feel like it's getting more and more out of hand as we're going through time instead of getting better and better. So I hope they find a solution soon, because that like you said, it's a very simple problem to fix.
It's a very simple fix. And like, I don't know what interview I was listening to, but like someone stated like, yeah, why don't we just get judges that know what they're doing? And I'm like,
Dude,
why don't
there's
we
so
just
many retired fighters that don't have anything the reason that why we see some fighters, fight until they're 40, fight until they have a 5-10 fight losing streak is because they don't have a plan
money?
B. Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
have a plan B. If you give them a plan B, as we've seen the UFC do with the commentators, we've seen them do with some of the interviews, why not do the same for judges and referees? I'm sure the pay will be less than, being on TV and everything, but it'll still give them their former fighters, an opportunity of some
I
sort.
agree. Like they're obviously want to be in the sport. A lot of them, that's like all they know for a lot of these fighters. And like they would do really well in this position, like they'll be a great judge, I feel like, or a lot better than what we have right now. Because right now what we have is ridiculous, and it's also not really fair to the fighters, that fucking train so much, that put everything on the line during these fights, and like they just get
The
a
only
fight stolen
issue
from them.
The only issue with judging, I feel like, would be is you would come into an issue where, a lot of the athletes train with each other and they go to camps with one another. So I feel like there may be a bias eventually, whether you like someone or strongly dislike someone. So I feel like that would be the one.
Okay, all right, so take the fighters out of the picture, just someone that knows what the hell they're talking about.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right there, brother. So to conclude the prelim card, we had Jacare Souza getting his arm broken by Andre Muniz. That arm break was horrible, man. I mean, there was I don't want to say full arena, but at least a half full arena at that point, and you just heard that arm snap like a pencil. I mean, you just heard the crack, and you saw the shake in both of them, man. Like it was a brutal arm break.
Yeah, I actually just watched that in preparation for this podcast. And when we watched that at the hotel, I know you were talking about the sound of that arm break, but like listening to it again, it's so hard to like listen to that. It's like you hear the whole humorous like crack.
And there was
it's so painful.
And there was a room full of people. It's not like it happened at the Apex where there's no fans or anything, and you still heard it.
Yeah, dude, it's insane. It's like there's so many with the Chris Weidman injury happening recently, and then on the same card, which we're gonna get into with Shane Burgos, delayed reaction. It's like some weird like reactions, injuries going on in the UFC right now, and
Something
it's
weird
like
is in
every
the
single.
air.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man.
It's crazy. But I think the thing I was most shocked about is how little, Souza seemed to care. Like he kind of just got up, kind of waved to the crowd, kind of went on his thing. Didn't really act like he just got his arm broken. Like, one of the most painful, bones to break. I don't know how I feel about the whole submission attempt overall, because you saw Muniz take the back of Jacare. And personally, I mean, I understand it's, the heat of the moment, it's a combat sport and everything, but I feel like he went into that submission so fast and so strong that Souza didn't even have a chance to tap. So he kind of just went into that submission, maximized the leverage on it, and broke his arm without even giving Souza a chance to tap. Not
So you're
necessarily.
saying, so you think he did something wrong?
No, not wrong, but I feel like the sportsmanship like way to go battle would have been at least give Souza a second or two to tap, and if he doesn't, then apply the rest of the leverage you need. But I mean, hey, it's the fight.
I see a little. I'm honestly, I see it a little differently. Like dude, these fighters are there, and it's like they're there to like either die or win. Like hypothetically speaking, like that's literally like they could die. And like they want to get the win, and like do anything to get the win. So like if that's how he wants to break his hand, and break his hand, like that's part of the rules. That's what the other fighter signed up for, and if that's how it has to happen, and that's your technique, then that's the way it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, I mean nothing illegal, so no criticism on that end.
I feel like it was just like the perfect angle he got it, and he just like cracked it, and the arm just went.
I'm getting the chills just like having flashbacks of that arm break in my head right now. That was pretty bad.
Yeah, so let me ask you, 4 straight losses for the legend Jacare Souza. Never a UFC champion, but I believe a Strikeforce champion.
I believe he was.
Is that accurate to say? Yeah, so a Strikeforce champion, never a UFC champion, 4 straight losses. A little bit older than his peers right now. So like, what do you think is next for him?
I think Dana White might be giving him and his team a phone call soon. Unfortunately, look, man, I think it's just the reality of how things have been in the UFC lately. We have seen the UFC making cuts. Some make sense, some we have noticed have not made as much sense. He is, like you said, 4 fights in a row that he lost. He is older. His last couple of fights, I think it was just coincidence of who the opponents were, but he lost on a pretty dominant fashion in most of his last few losses. So it's a tough conversation to have. The way I see it, if Jacare stays in the UFC, you have one of 2 options. Either you got to take a step down in competition, or perhaps go to a different organization overall. But I don't think Jacare should continue fighting the top dogs. I think his chance to become the UFC champion is over, but he can still continue fighting if that's where his heart is.
Can I say something fucked up?
Go ahead.
So, you know what I think the fight to make right now is?
What?
Chris Weidman and Jacare Souza. Because
they fought at Madison Square Garden.
I know. The rematch, because they're both coming off some pretty crazy injuries. With Weidman with his leg. Handicap match. Handicap. No offense to both fighters. We love you, but handicap retirement match. Like, I think that's fair to say, because honestly, I really don't want to see either of them fight anymore. With Weidman, we love the guy. We've been supporters of his for a very long time. But like, after you like going through such a rough patch in your career, and then you go through such a devastating knockout injury, it's like we don't really need to see that anymore. You really accomplished everything that you need to do. Obviously, you're not the same fighter anymore. It's not, and like the division changed. The fighters are on a different level now. The middleweight division is stacked, and like I feel like both fighters did their due in the sport, and I feel like it's just time. I don't want to be mean about it. Besides me wanting to be mean about it a little bit, but I think it's just time for both fighters, man.
Yeah, I mean, quick update on Weidman. He does look like he's recovering fairly well. I have been looking at his Instagram stories. I mean,
he wants to fight again.
I'm a doctor, but I feel like he's recovering pretty fast. Just looking at some of the PT work he's been doing, I feel like it's only been a couple of weeks since he had a surgery, and he's already
he's walking again. He's looking good for sure.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm no doctor, but I personally think that's pretty fast recovery. So I hope everything is working out well for him.
Yeah, when right after his injury, he spoke to Ariel Helwani, and he was basically saying how the blood supply to his leg like wasn't going there, so he felt like numbness in his leg. And I think he's a little bit better with that now. So yeah, he's definitely recovering, and I hope to see him recover soon. But I don't really want to see him be in the octagon anymore. To be completely honest with you, I know that's not probably what he wants to hear, but it's just my personal opinion on the matter.
Yeah, I'm with you there, man. So Jacare did have surgery this past Monday. I believe it went well, so he is recovering now. Hopefully he gets well.
Jacare. Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Jacare had surgery. They put 2 plates in his arm. The surgeon said that the recovery is going very well. Jacare looks like he's in good spirits, and as you said, after the fight, he didn't even look like he was injured. So a warrior and
warrior.
We hope to see him recover soon.
All right, now let's move on to the main card. To start it off, we had Edison Barbosa versus Shane Burgos. Very, very exciting fight. This is another fight that I expected to be fight of the night contender. And, neither of the guys disappointed here. We had a 3-round war, a 2.5-round war, I should say. Edison Barbosa got a very, very interesting knockout at 1 minute and 16 seconds in the 3rd round. For those that missed it, Barbosa landed a nice solid punch to Shane Burgos. I believe it was a right. Shane Burgos, kind of seemed like he took it for the first second or two, and then there was a split, pause in action after the punch was thrown. And after like 3 or 4 seconds, you kind of just see Shane Burgos taking a step or two back and falling over. And I mean, delayed knockout reaction is the only word I think that we can tie to that, because that was a delayed reaction, and holy shit, that was a scary moment.
Yeah, so I was actually listening to a doctor speak about this. So what the doctor says happened. So with most people, so what happens is when you get punched in the head, right? So what happens is your brain basically like hits your skull, right? And your brain is in this fluid, right? This cerebral spinal fluid, and it hits the skull, and basically there's a cascade of events that happen, and basically you get knocked out. But usually it happens instantaneously. But in this case, as you said, there was a 4 to 5 second delayed reaction, which is very uncommon, but it could happen. So, which was very interesting. After the fight, I saw that. I just wanted to see what the science behind that was. I thought it was very interesting. I've never really seen that before. But Shane Burgos looks like he's in good spirits. He said he's going to take some time off, spend it with his family, and he's such a tough guy. And I know he has a bright future in the UFC. His previous fights were all classics, very back and forth fights. And Edison Barbosa, man, 3-0 in this division. Edison Barbosa is back, man. Beautiful, beautiful striking, man. Beautiful.
Yeah. So a couple of things I want to say. Shane Burgos has definitely been improving over his last couple of fights. Earlier on in his career, one of my criticisms were just his lack of, I don't know if accuracy is the right word, but his strikes weren't as clean. I definitely feel like he's refined his striking and has definitely improved. But Barbosa, that experience, man, we're seeing that arsenal get polished and more every day. He's looking
so happy
great.
for him, man. I love him.
He's looking great, man. I'm very happy for that guy. And we're talking about someone that fought at 155 most of his career, and now he's at this late in his career, he's cutting down to featherweight at 145. I mean, that's a pretty big, something to do that late in your age, to drop another 10 pounds and keep it down. And having the results that he's having, he's been performing amazingly.
Yeah, and like I can't really add anything to that. He put on a spectacular performance. The only question I have now is who's next for him. What do you think?
Personally, I don't want to see him run too fast up the rankings at featherweight. I'm not sure if Edison will get a belt, even if he takes all the right steps at featherweight, just because, again,
Think so?
the youth in the division, there's so many killers at the top 5 of that division. And Edison is old. He still has plenty of exciting fights, and I feel like plenty of great matchups, but I don't want to see him rush into a top 5, top 10 fight yet. I kind of want to see him build his confidence back up and just everything else. He's one of those guys where we've seen what he's capable of, and I feel like if we build him back up slowly, a lot of the newer fans will respect him a lot more than they would if we just saw him.
So I actually have a perfect fight for you because you said you don't want to see him anyone in the top 5, and I actually think you're gonna like this fight. What about a fight with Giga Jakazi, another striker, another very high level striker as he is?
Yeah.
And he's ranked, I believe, 7, 8. They're around maybe 1 or 2 rankings away from one another. I believe that's gonna be a phenomenal fight. Jakazi's coming off a win. Barbosa's coming off a win. Let's make the fight happen.
Dude, that might be a fight of the year contender right there. I mean, both of those guys. Giga Chikadze has been improving like crazy. He's another one of those guys, like we mentioned, is flying under the radar in that division. And Edison Barbosa is just a master kickboxer. I think that's a great fight to put together.
And that fight is not going to the ground, so we know that's going to be a nice fight.
Hell yeah, man. That's a great idea.
Yeah, right?
All right, so as you mentioned earlier, Burgos versus Barbosa was the performance of the night. Everything's bigger in Texas, so the bonuses at this event were $75K each instead of the regular $50,000. So congrats to both those guys. Well deserved. Moving on, we had Caitlin Chukagian getting a unanimous decision win over Viviane Araujo. I believe this was another one of those fights where there was some criticism on the judging. I think one of those rounds that Chukagian got, it was controversial, and it should have. A lot of people thought it should have gone to Araujo. I think this is another one of those fights. One round could have gone either way, but I think Caitlin did what she had to do to get her hand raised. I'm not very disappointed with the outcome here.
Yeah, to be honest, I've heard from from reading different articles and from listening to different podcasts on what you just said about Chikagan and the judges. I personally didn't really watch the fight like that. I watched it obviously with you, but I didn't really pay attention too much to it. But Chikagan, man, she's another win. A very weird fight. Like we were talking about this on Saturday. She's just like so unorthodox. It's like it's crazy to see her win, honestly, and like good for her. But she's just like a very weird fighter, and I feel like that's what makes her so effective.
Yeah, she's not the most exciting fighter on the roster, but look, she does what she has to do to get her hand raised. But if she does want to make another title run, they're definitely holding her game that she needs to polish up. I think one of her biggest characteristics that she's lacking is power. Her strikes, her striking isn't horrible. Her footwork isn't bad, but I feel like when she does hit her opponents, she doesn't hit with, I don't know if to say with enough power, with enough intent, but I don't think she does the damage that she would like to do to some of her opponents. I feel like I know it is
I
harder for someone with a frame like hers, but I feel like she does need to put on a little bit of power.
I agree, and I feel like that's something that she can't really get. If you want to be like realistic, she's something that she can't really get better that much better at. I feel like there's just like a level. There's levels to this shit, and like I feel like Shevchenko is just on a different type of level. I feel like this is just where she's gonna be. She's gonna win some, she's gonna lose some. She's obviously on the higher end of the division. She beats a lot more people than she loses to, but I feel like she's just never gonna reach that level, unfortunately. But kudos to her for getting the job done.
Yep. So following that event, we had Rogero Bontoren taking on Matt Schnell. This was another pretty exciting fight. We had a unanimous decision win for Rogero. What did you think of that fight?
I thought it was an exciting fight, back and forth. I agree with the decision. Yeah, not really much to say about it. Rogero did a great job.
Yeah, not the most exciting fight on the card. I know we were having a quick snack break while this fight was happening, just to prepare for Tony Ferguson and Charles Oliveira fights coming up. So let's get right into those, man. The co-main event, man. Tony Ferguson lost to Benil Daryush, unanimous decision after 3 rounds. Benil Daryush, I don't know how he didn't rip off Tony's leg and take it home with him, man. That was just insane. In the first round, Benil Dariush had Tony I think it was the first round, had him in a very strong heel hook. Tony looked like he was going to tap any second. You can see the
I
emotion.
think it was the second round, I believe.
The emotion in Tony's face, like it looked like a tap was coming any second. And what does this lunatic do? He just starts throwing kicks at the arms that are holding his legs, and eventually Benil just lets go and he gets back up and continues to fight. I mean, holy shit, what a warrior, man.
Listen, man, Tony Ferguson, he was a great champion. He was an interim champion. He was a great fighter, but like he just obviously plateaued, I believe, and like he's just going on a downward trajectory now. It's like not really the same Tony Ferguson anymore. But Neil Dariush did a great job. He utilized a great game plan, and it just I don't know. I feel like just Tony Ferguson says he's mad now, whatever that's supposed to mean. I feel like he was
mad.
Yeah, he's been. I feel like going into the fight, Tony Ferguson just looked like he was very like set on winning, and it looked like a fighter that really, really wants to win, but their body is just not letting them do that anymore. Like he's mentally there, but he's just like I feel like not physically at that level anymore. And it's unfortunate because it took him so many fights in the UFC to get to the interim title. Which I thought was a little bit unfair, and which he mentioned about the Dana White privilege and all that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, father time or mother time, whatever people say, catches up to all of us. So I feel like it's just Tony's time, and I don't really see him coming back.
So fun stat that I believe I heard on Ariel and Helwani earlier this week. Tony Ferguson has only landed 34 strikes in the last 34 minutes in the octagon.
That's crazy.
I mean, I don't know what kind of fighter you and I or anyone else listening is, but 1 punch per minute. I mean, that's pretty bad, man. Especially for someone at the level of Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, it's insane. It's like people are also saying that he's kind of like trigger shy now at this stage in his career, but
I don't know about that. I feel like he's the same crazy fuck that he always was.
Yeah, I feel like there's something happened physically, mentally. I don't even know what the hell it was.
Gaethje happened, bro. I mean, look, he put the beats on him. that was a pretty bad fucking beating he took that night.
I agree. I think it was Gaethje. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, I believe it was Gaethje, and I believe it's a combination of Gaethje, and I believe it's that and his age at the same time. It's all those fights. He never goes into a fight. Well, for the most part, he doesn't go into a fight and he comes out clean. He goes into a fight and gets into a war with these. So eventually he's gonna catch up to you. Like your brain is like not there to just sustain that many punches. Like that's not what we're here to do. We're not just here to fight. So
let me ask you something. Do you think part of Tony's madness was led to him never getting his hands on Khabib? Do you think that drove him partially to his madness?
To him being this crazy?
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to every interview, he's still going back at the press conference. Someone said something about Khabib. He's, Khabib's a bitch. Like everything he says, I understand that was the one MMA fight I think in the last 5-10 years that had to happen and just never did. So as a fan, it's upsetting. I'm sure to Tony, it's even more upsetting. But do you think part of that kind of distracted him from doing what he had to do and kind of took him off track from the crazy course that he was on, 12-fight winning streak?
To be honest, I don't really think that had anything to do with it. To be completely honest with you, I just he did what he needed to do. He avoided big one with Khabib because Khabib would have I don't care what Tony would have showed up. Khabib would have smashed him, like literally would have smashed him because Tony always had holes in his game. Like you and I used to watch him and you and I used to hate on him because he has so many holes in his game and he would lose for the majority of the fight and he would somehow miraculously come out and win the fight. So with Khabib, I feel like that would never happen, but who knows? He was on a 12-fight winning streak, but Khabib is just a different animal. But I don't think that affected him mentally. I just think that Tony Ferguson is just a crazy animal.
So what do we do with Tony, man? What's next for him?
What's next for Tony? I think they need to give him one more shot at not a top 15 guy. Maybe from someone from 10 to 15, maybe, but I would want to see him fight someone not ranked at this point. Like I want to see him like get his mojo back. Maybe he's suffering in confidence. So I want to see him fight someone less skilled at this point.
So there are two fights that Tony had that I think having a rematch with either of these opponents would be a great idea. So the first one is Kevin Lee. I know we've been talking about Kevin Lee for a long time. Where the hell is Kevin Lee? Look, Kevin Lee has a lot of great fights for him lined up, potentially in lightweight, potentially in welterweight. I would love to see him back. I do think he was dealing with an injury a little while back. I'm not sure if that's still the case. Kevin Lee, where the hell are you, man? What do you think?
Yeah, I would love to see them run it back. And listen,
that was a fight that I was rooting for Kevin Lee. That was on Kevin Lee. That was his like initial, I feel like, trajectory in the UFC when he just joined. And I thought he was gonna knock out Tony Ferguson. He started off great. The first round was great, and Kevin came in with staph infection and still, started off great. And Tony caught him from the bottom, I believe, and stopped the fight.
Yeah, so, he was doing really well. Yeah, you and I both thought that Kevin Lee was going to win. You know how high on Kevin Lee I was when he was initially in the UFC, but, that didn't really come to anything at this point. But Kevin Lee's still a young guy. Yeah, I'd love to see them run it back. I think Kevin Lee's going to take it this time.
I hope so.
I feel like at this point in Tony's career, I feel like Kevin Lee should take it, but also Kevin Lee's a little bit mentally weak. So, who knows? I feel like he's better than Ally Quinta. And I feel like he lost those fights because he was mentally not strong. That's just my personal take. I don't know if that's accurate or not. That's just personally what I think of the whole matter.
All right. So option number 2 for Tony. Retirement fight with Cowboy Cerrone. Both fighters retire.
I agree. I agree with that one. I love when fighters that need to retire. And I'd love to see Cowboy and him retire.
Because that was another great fight. The two of them, they put on a really exciting fight. And then Tony went to, not Tony. Cowboy went to blow out his nose in between fights and his eyes swelled up and they had to stop the fight because of that.
Yeah.
That was another exciting fight. I thought that Cowboy started off the fight great, but then Tony started to take the fight back. So just to see how the rest of that fight would have played out, I feel like would have been amazing. So either one of those matches, I feel like would be great.
I think that's a great fight. You should apply for like a matchmaker job at the UFC or something.
Yo, you guys hiring at Endeavor? So what's next for Benil Daryush? That's 7 wins in a row for him at lightweight. I think he deserves someone at least in the top 5. And personally, I think with one more win, he can be in the conversation for a title. 7 in a row.
Yeah, I think Benil Dariush, I feel like he has two options right now, right? As you said, he's on a 7-fight win streak. I think that he should wait for the title. He's ranked, I believe, number 4, number 5. I think he should wait for the title, or he should fight either Chandler or Justin Gaethje. Like, those are his only other options.
So I don't exactly agree with you. I don't think that he should wait out for the title only because, like I said, the top of that division is still very congested. Chandler fight wouldn't be a bad idea. What I've been saying for the last couple of weeks is I would like to see Chandler versus Justin Gaethje just because of their styles. I feel like they would be really explosive, really exciting fight. But for Benil Dariush, I think anyone in the top 5, I feel like he shouldn't wait for a title fight only because we have Conor Poirier coming up. And I feel like it's almost guaranteed the winner of that fight is going to fight Olivera for the belt.
Good point.
So for him to wait, I don't think makes the most sense, especially since he doesn't have as big of a name as some of the other guys in that division. So I do think one more fight would make sense. All right, look. So, I mean, the top 5 of the division is pretty much booked. Dustin Poirier's booked. Justin Gaethje's out, but like I said, I would like to see him fight Chandler. Currently, Daryush is ranked number 3, so that's actually higher than I thought he would be. Michael Chandler is just coming off that loss in the main event, which we'll get into in a second. Conor McGregor is booked. Tony Ferguson just lost, and RDA and Dan Hooker are the next 2 after that. You might be right. Maybe it'll make sense for him to fight Chandler or Gaethje. I think in that. Honestly, I feel like the Chandler Gaethje fight is most exciting for me, but we're probably gonna have to give Chandler some time to recover. So I feel like Gaethje versus Daryush for a title contender spot following the Poirier.
The only reasons I say those 2 names is because Daryush is currently ranked. Like, these fighters obviously care about the rankings, whatever Chael wants to say, but the rankings don't matter. You look at your spot in the paper, all that. Like, the fighters care about their ranking, right?
Absolutely.
Daryush is not gonna fight someone that's out of the top 5. He just made it to the top 4. He's been here for a while. He's been on a 7-fight winning streak now in the UFC. He's not going to fight somebody that's not like ranked behind him, So like, it's either Michael Chandler or it's Justin Gaethje. Like, it's either I believe it's one of them is ahead of him and one of them is right behind him. I don't think he's going to fight anyone, and both of them have huge names in the UFC, something that he doesn't have. So I feel like he has something beneficial to gain from both fights,
There is one fighter ranked below him that I think would make sense for the division, would make sense for both fighters. Islam Makhachev. Dude, I mean, look, both of those guys are... Look, again, outside Justin, Chandler, Connor.
Okay.
2 contenders in that division, in my opinion.
I agree.
We heard DC talk about it earlier this week. He's trying to get fights from everyone. RDA, Paul Felder, everyone is turning him down.
Islam Makhachev has a fight booked.
He'll walk through that. I feel like Islam is. I feel like he's like Hamzat. He's one of those guys where you can line up a fight every month and he'll be ready. I feel like, dude, it's just a part of the world that they're from.
Dare I say he's more skilled than Hamzat?
I feel like more diverse, maybe, but
more diverse for sure.
Hamzat to make that full argument. Unfortunately,
Hamzat is coming back though. Hamzat's coming back, and what's his name? Zabit is apparently trying to retire now.
Yeah, I mean,
what the hell, man? Like, we're just getting started on him.
He is having some surgery. I'm not sure exactly what it's for, but if he's considering retirement, depending on how this surgery plays out, I'm assuming it's something serious. Zabit is one of those guys very, very early on in his UFC career. A lot of potential fights. It's really unfortunate. I think it's been 2 years at least since we've seen him out of the octagon. I feel like if he misses out any more time,
has it been that long? What's his last fight with Yair Rodriguez or Jeremy Stevens? Yeah, man, I really don't want to see. I really don't want to see Zabit retire. I personally don't think he's gonna retire. I feel like
Calvin Kattar was the last fight. He has
Calvin Kattar. Wow.
Yeah.
I personally don't think he's gonna retire. I mean, what the hell do I know? This is just me just giving my opinion. Like, I have no idea what the hell he's even going through. But I like, history says that he's not gonna retire. Like, he has so much more to prove. He really hasn't proven that much in UFC, although he has. But I feel like there's just so much more for him to prove, and he has such great potential. He has the potential to be the champion of the world. So unless it's something really serious, I don't see him retiring, you know? And like, I wish we knew what was going on with him.
Absolutely. Whatever he's dealing with, hope he gets through it well. He's one of those savages we need back ASAP. Featherweight has a lot of killers in there, and he has quite a few matchups I would love to see him against.
Yeah, I don't know how we got into Zabit, but let's get into the main event. We talked about Ferguson. We talked about Daryush. Talk about the main event of the evening.
So Charles Oliveira, Du Bronx, Charlie Olives. My man is finally a UFC lightweight champion. I'm so happy for him. He got a beautiful knockout 19 seconds into the second round. It was a back and forth first round. Chandler started off strong. Oliveira had some grappling and takedown, some action. He got some points there. But we did see Michael Chandler end the round very strong. And as we mentioned earlier, this is one of those fights where the judging was just off. We had two judges score a 10-8 round for Michael Chandler. I don't believe there's much of an argument that Michael Chandler won the round. I think everyone agrees with that. But if this is one of those fights that went to decision, starting off the first round with a 10-8 round, that sets the pretty badly.
Yeah. So for the next podcast, I actually want to get the actual text of what a 10-8 round is, because I've listened to somebody read it to me, but I actually want to read it to the fans and have them understand what I see with this retarded 10-8 rule, because it's like really unclear as to what a 10-8 round is. But good thing it didn't really go to the judges. Oliveira got the job done in the second round via TKO. Who the hell saw that coming? He did. He thought he was going to win via knockout. He said, I'm going to knock out Chandler, and he did, which is crazy. But honestly, Chandler, I thought looked insane, phenomenal in the first round. I feel like he got a little bit tired in the second round. That's just my personal opinion. And Charles Oliveira, man, a stud. What is this, like his 13th win or 12th win in a row?
No, I think it's his 9th win in a row. He had 8 wins in a row going in here. He's had over 20 UFC fights, and I think one of the most.
He has 28 UFC fights. This is his 28th UFC fight.
Dude, he's only 31. I think we've literally, UFC fans that have been following Charles Oliveira from the beginning, we've literally watched this guy grow up from a young kid, just participating in the sport to becoming one of the best in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing to note, Brazil now has 3 champions. This is really exciting. We have Davidson Figueiredo, Amanda Nunes. A lot of people thought Brazil's reign over MMA and the UFC has kind of died out, passing like the Silva era, all those the Gracies, the legendary era of
the
Brazilian. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people thought those days were over, but it looks like they're slowly taking over the championships at the UFC once again.
Yeah, man. Honestly, Charles Oliveira. I mean, I kind of wanted Michael Chandler to win. You knew that, but dude, when Charles Oliveira won, it was just so so heartwarming, honestly, to see him win, and that celebration was so nice. Like he's been in the UFC for so long, over a decade now. Although, like, I know most people don't even remember him here for a decade, but he's been here for a while. And he had some losses in the UFC. He lost to Paul Felder. He lost to Anthony Pettis. He lost to Max Holloway. He lost to Frankie Edgar. And Cub Swans is another one he lost to. So just see him go through that adversity in the UFC and eventually become the UFC champion. It's very heartwarming to see, and couldn't ask for a better guy, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like Charles Oliveira today can be any one of those guys. So I would love to see him start getting some of those names back. For Charles Oliveira, I think it makes the most sense just to wait to see how Poirier and Conor plays out. I do know in the press conference, he was asked about Conor, and he said he tried to get that fight for the last couple of years, and Conor kept ducking him. So now Conor's going to have to come chase him. So I hope that's the case. The ball is in his court. He has the belt. He has the power. He has what Conor wants. So now
let me ask you. So Conor and Poirier are gonna fight on June 10th, I believe, right? So say Conor wins, say Poirier wins. We don't know. Obviously, we don't know who's gonna win. But if they were to fight Charles Oliveira today, who do you think is gonna win? Charles Oliveira versus Conor, and Charles Oliveira versus Poirier.
I feel like Oliveira can beat Poirier. I
think
feel
so.
Like both are well rounded. I think Dustin has he has probably greater power, I would say, but I feel like Oliveira is just, first of all, his ground game is levels above Poirier's. His submission game is levels above Poirier. And we've seen Olivera striking, develop. If you asked me a year or two ago, I would say Dustin probably would knock out Charles Oliveira, no question. I can't say that, today. Charles Oliveira, I mean, I did not expect him to knock out Michael Chandler at all. I thought he was going to win via submission or decision.
Yeah.
Holy shit, he opened up my eyes. I mean, he has a knockout power. Now he has the championship resources, so hopefully the sky's the limit from here.
I still can't believe that happened. So, it's so crazy, man. Michael Chandler gets knocked out. It's so crazy. The sport is so insane.
Yeah. So if Olivera fought Conor, I feel like, again, Conor might have a puncher's chance. I feel like Conor might just stylistically might have a better performance, just because, if you look at the tools that Conor has, if he utilizes the striking and the distance correctly, he can try to stop Olivera from coming in and getting a takedown. And he is a much more refined striker, much more powerful and precise striker. I think it's any one of those three, you match them up. It's exciting.
I agree, man. That division is just stacked. Like, put anyone together with anyone else, and it's going to be a good fight. So it's the UFC's hot right now, and that division is insane.
Yeah, Michael Chandler. I mean, he has pretty much anyone in the top 10 he can fight at this point. He's only 1-1 in the UFC. We haven't seen him fight too many of these guys, so I feel like anyone you put him in within the UFC. I don't want to see him only fight top 5 guys, because I feel like, it's going to be one win. Oh, he deserves the title again. One win. Oh, you know what I mean? I feel like he got fortunate enough to get a title shot after one win. I feel like now he needs at least 3.
That Dana White privilege, huh?
Yeah.
That Dana White. Yeah, man. Honestly, I agree with you, but Michael Chandler, dude, he knows how to handle a defeat. And after the fight, there was the post-fight press conference, and the way he was talking about, like, going through like a setback, and like, like in life we're like dealt with this type of shit all the time. Like, we don't always win. And like the way he just approaches this stuff, like I personally just have like a lot of respect for it, because like, like he wanted to obviously be the UFC champion coming from Bellator, like a lot was online, and like it didn't go his way. But the way he's handling this whole situation, I honestly really, really respect that. It's not everybody. Like, I know personally myself, I'd probably be freaking out. I'll be like, oh fuck, I fucked up. Like shit like that. Like he's taking it like very well. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, like I said with Pulat last week, he carries himself very well. He's very humble. He's very articulate. He's a very likable guy, in my opinion. I don't think this is the last we're going to see of him. I think he's definitely going to have at least 1 or 2 more UFC title runs in his career.
Dude, he looked phenomenal in that first round. He looked very good. His reaction, his speed, everything was on point, and he's definitely going to come back. I feel like very strong.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about his career. Like I said, 1-1 against top dogs. I feel like one step down in competition, just so the UFC can build a star out of him a little bit. I think that'll be the best move for everybody. So that concludes UFC 262. We had another exciting matchup announced today. We have TJ Dillashaw making his return against Corey Sandhagen on July 24th, UFC Fight Night. I'm excited for that. I know there were whispers about this fight for a while, but now we finally have it on paper, set in stone. I'm excited for this one, man.
Yeah, man. Who do you got in that fight? I personally have TJ Dillashaw. I know Corey Sandhagen is coming off a crazy win right now, but I feel like TJ Dillashaw is going to come back and reclaim that spot that he gave away.
We'll go into it more detail as the fight comes up, but I feel like I'm leaning towards Corey Sandhagen for 2 reasons. One, we have TJ, who was on EPOs, who is now off. How long he's been doing EPOs, to what extent he's been doing EPOs prior to getting caught, I mean, we don't really know, but that'll definitely impact his performance to some degree. And TJ is coming on 40, I believe. He's pretty up there in age. He might look like he's only like 20 years old, but TJ isn't young. Corey Sandhagen is young. I feel like he's hungry. He's been active. We saw, like you just said, the crazy knockout win against Frankie Edgar. I still can't get over how Corey Sandhagen got submitted by Aljo, but that conversation's neither here nor there. I don't know. I think Corey might be able to get it done, and I don't know. I feel like TJ. I like him as a fighter, but he was always one of those guys that he would go on Rogan and talk about how clean he is and how he performs all his training is to a science, and then news comes out that he
talks a lot.
Yeah,
he's a talker.
Yeah, so I don't like that. I don't. If you're talking, you got to be able to back it up, and if you're just going to be cheating, I mean, pack your bags and get back to where the hell you came from.
Yeah, but let's talk about someone that's actually very relevant to TJ Dillashaw. TJ Dillashaw actually beat this guy twice And that guy that I'm talking about is Cody No Love Garbrandt, who's going to be facing Rob Font this weekend. What are your thoughts on the fight?
This is going to be an exciting one. I feel like we're not going to see grappling or wrestling of any kind in this fight. I feel like this is definitely going to be 5 rounds. If it goes that far, all of it's going to be standing up. Definitely fight of the night contender. I'm expecting fireworks. I don't know. This is interesting. Cody, he was on a 3-fight losing skid. He did get 1 win back. A lot of people, which I strongly disagree with after that 1 win, although very impressive, people were saying that he should get the title shot again. Like Cody's back. Look, very, very impressive win, but
Beautiful win. Yes, I agree. Go.
You don't get, if you're 1-3, you don't get another title shot. I'm sorry, even if you're Connor.
No way. I agree with that 100%. Cody is, the thing about Cody is that I believe that he's a great fighter. But the thing about it is just like mentally, like if he's mentally on, then he's gonna probably win the fight. He has a bigger chance of winning the fight. But a lot of the times, and especially in recent fights, he's not mentally there. There's a lot of emotions. I know that's like the narrative or going like around the fight, but I feel like if he comes in emotionally stable, that's a weird thing to say, but if he comes in emotionally ready, I feel like he has a good chance to win the fight for sure.
Look, Rob Font, he's on a 3-fight winning streak right now. Sergio Pettis, Ricky Simon, and Marlon Moraes. Those are some pretty big names in that division, and he got 2 unanimous decision wins, and he knocked out Marlon Moraes. Marlon Moraes is a pretty tough guy. I mean, for him to be able to get a knockout like that says a lot. Both Cody and Rob Font both lost to Pedro Munoz. So I mean that's one foe they have in common. And Rob Font lost to Rafael Assunção. That's who Cody, had that brutal knockout over in his last fight. So, what does that say? Does that favor Cody at all? I mean, we know styles make fights, so it is going to be a little bit different, but could that give us,
Yeah, listen, Font is one of the better strikers in the division.
Mm-hmm.
He does take his opponents down at times, but the thing about Cody is that he has a wrestling background. He was a wrestler prior to coming to the UFC. The thing about it is that a lot of fighters don't want to take him down to the floor because they know his wrestling pedigree. That's why they fight on the feet, and that's where Cody excels in as well. So as I said, I feel like if Cody Garbrandt comes in ready, mentally there, I feel like he has a great chance to win, and I'd love to see him win and reclaim that title eventually.
Yeah, I'm excited for that fight. I think that's going to be the main event on this card. I feel like it's going to definitely be the fight of the night. There are some other exciting names on the card. We have Carlos Esparza in the co-main event against Jan Shoinan. Justin Tafa is taking on Jared Vandera. Felicia Spencer is coming back against Norma Dumont. David Dvorak is taking on Rulian Paiva. Jack Hermanson is coming back against Edmund Shabazian. This is a very exciting fight. I'm actually surprised that this is going to be the first fight on the main event. But I think they probably did that to start the main card off with a bang, because that's going to be another very, very exciting fight.
Mm-hmm.
Prelims, we have a couple of exciting fights as well. We have Ricardo Ramos taking on Bill Alego. We have Ben Rothwell taking on Chris Bennett. Court McGee taking on Claudio Silvia. Bruno Silvia taking on Victor Rodriguez. Josh Kulibau taking on Shah Yilan. Yancy Medeiros versus Damir Hadovic. And Rafael Alves versus Damir Ismagulov. Not the biggest names on this weekend's card, but I think it'll still be exciting nonetheless. Prelim starting at 4 p.m. and the main event starting at 7 p.m. on ESPN Plus. So you guys are going to want to make sure to catch that. Going to be an exciting fight.
Yeah, you just took the words right out of my mouth. There are some exciting fights on the card, as you said, with Cody Garbrandt being one of the more exciting fights, and Edmund Shabazian fight. For the most part, it's not the most exciting card in terms of names, but there's a lot of these cards that you look at the names, are like, oh, who is that guy? And then like the event happens, like, wow, that was a crazy event. So maybe that's gonna be the case this week. We never know, but yeah, I'm excited for this one as well.
All right, one bit of news we just want to share with you guys before we wrap up today. So the Black Beast, Derrick Lewis, he had some weird interaction today. John, why don't you share the story?
Yeah, so Derrick Lewis, apparently some dude was trying to rob his car. So he told Ariel Helwani that he took this guy and basically knocked him out on the spot. The guy was then later taken to the hospital and then treated. Apparently he's stable. But yeah, dude,
Hashtag
stop
he's
robbing
okay.
UFC.
Hashtag he's okay.
Stop rob. Hashtag stop robbing UFC fighters. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, look at who you're robbing first. And like, imagine getting knocked out by Derrick Lewis. Like, why? It's crazy.
Hey man, I'm sure that guy's gonna not rob anyone's car or anything for at least a little while. I'm sure he learned his lesson, and if not, I'm sure we can give Daryush the call. He'll gladly reteach that lesson for free.
Yeah, but that's like such a typical. I feel like such a typical Derrick Lewis move. What a savage! He's so funny, man. And like, yeah, dude, don't rob UFC fighters' cars or
Don't
houses.
rob anyone's cars.
Shout out Anthony. Yeah, facts. And shout out Anthony Smith. Shout out all these UFC fighters. And like, dude, stop with the bullshit already. You know what I'm saying?
All right, guys, that was round 25. Thank you for joining us for another round of Inside the Clinch. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on our social media platforms. On Instagram, we are Inside the Clinch MMA. On Twitter, we are ITC MMA Podcast. And on Facebook and YouTube, we are Inside the Clinch MMA Podcast. Thank you guys. Catch you next week.